Week 4 is here, and Texas begins SEC play still at number 1. MLB teams are catching momentum before October, and the Steelers lead the AFC North. Get ready to talk all this out on this week's episode of College Crossfire. Good evening to all our viewers tonight. I'm your host, Robert Gonsolin, and we have a great show in store for you. Before meeting our contestants, I want to share that today's show is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, everywhere in between. Plan your ride to this weekend's game at capmetro.org. All right, let's get right into it. Already jumping into our week 2, we're ready to introduce tonight's contestants. So without further ado, here we go. Leading off, we have last week's champion. He's proving all of his doubters wrong, one of which I just found out is his cousin, Aram Vila. It's Ikey Kohler. Ikey, how's it going?
It's going good. Glad to be back this week. Yeah, Aram's not my cousin, so I'll clear that up. But yeah, there we go.
I knew it. I don't know why I bought it in the first place, but
yeah, who knows? Who knows?
That one's on me. In the middle seat, we have fellow Houston fan and last year's host, Mr. Ryan Swantkowski. Ryan, it's great to have you back. How you doing?
Great to be back, Robert. It feels very weird being on this side of the table, but you're doing a great job and excited to get it going tonight. Great to be back.
Texans 2-1. Are they going to 3-1 this weekend?
We're going, I think, to what is it, 16-1? Yeah, I said it. Let's go Texans.
Bulls on parade, baby. And finishing it off, tonight's lineup, we have another contestant making their yearly debut on Crossfire. He's the executive producer of College Press Box and 1/3 of the 214 Sports Show. It's Joseph Duffey. Joe, how's it going?
I wasn't expecting the podcast, Shadow, but thanks. I appreciate that. But glad to be back on College Crossfire with a great new host as well after a great host was replaced also in Ryan. Glad to see him back on the panel. Ready to get to work.
Let's have some fun tonight. Before we get started, though, let's review the game's rules in case you have never tuned in before. There will be 3 rounds with each one containing 3 questions. Points will be given to I Believe has the best answer in all 3 rounds, and then 2 points, 1 point, so 3, 2, 1, so on and so forth. But we cannot forget that the third and final round, better known as the rapid fire round, is worth double the points, meaning the best answer will receive 6 points, 4 points, then 2 points. In the event there's a tie by the end of the third round, there will be a bonus question to see who is crowned champion. Also in this rapid fire round, the contestants have not been able to see or prepare for these questions whatsoever, so they'll have to think on their feet and come up with their idea of what the best possible answer is. Now that we've reviewed the rules, let's get right into it. Starting off, the AP poll was released once again yesterday with the Longhorns still at the number 1 spot, released a couple days ago, excuse me. What's even more impressive is that there are 5 teams in the top 10 out of the SEC. Give me your prediction for this season's SEC championship game and your winner. Ikey, start it off.
Yeah, so my prediction for the SEC championship is going to be the 2 UTs, Texas and Tennessee. And the reason being is that their schedule has the least amount of hurdles that they have to get over. I mean, first Texas, their offensive line, you know, they've allowed the least amount of pressures in the SEC. You know, they're rolling regardless of the quarterback. In Tennessee, their offense is outstanding, and their defense is tied with Texas, just allowing over 5 points a game. But, you know, Bama and Georgia, there hasn't been an SEC championship game in 13 years that hasn't included one of them. But the reason why that's going to happen this year is because there's no divisions. It's the top 2 teams. And if you look at Georgia's schedule, they play Bama this week. One of them's going to lose. And then Georgia has to go play Tennessee. And they play Ole Miss too. And then if you look at Alabama's, they play Georgia. Oh, Georgia plays us also. But there's too much attrition on their schedule, so it's going to be Texas and Tennessee cakewalking it to the SEC championship game.
You know, I like what you said there. Tennessee's quarterback, he's just a star-studded player so far. No one really expected him to be putting up the numbers he is right now, but he's kind of taking the world by storm, especially in this SEC ball. There's just so many talented players, but great answer. Ryan?
I can't believe you took my answer because I'm going with the exact same answer. I got UT versus UT, and I'll tell you why. Nico, and I can never pronounce his last name right, for Tennessee, like you said, do you want to pronounce it for me real quick?
I can't
Ikey Kohler, something like that, whatever it is. Young stud in the making. As you saw against OU, if you watched the game, went out and absolutely balled on the road against the top 25 team in the SEC. Tennessee is not only proven, but like Ikey had mentioned earlier, their schedule for the rest of the SEC outside of Georgia and Bama is a cakewalk. Mississippi State, Kentucky, those are the easier, Vanderbilt, those are the easier teams in the SEC. It comes down the line to potential playoff contention, SEC contention. Those tiebreakers and being able to beat your SEC opponents matters. For the Longhorns, best team in the country, really not too hard of a schedule with Georgia and OU. I think it's possible that UT goes 12-0, so that's why I have them in the SEC championship. I got UT versus UT.
Great answer. Let's round it out, Joe.
Yeah, there's been one team to beat Georgia these past 2 seasons, only one, and that is the Alabama Crimson Tide. They're going to face off against the Georgia Bulldogs this Saturday, and they are going to win. And because of that, they're going to break Georgia's SEC streak of 40-plus conference wins, I believe. Jalen Milroe, I really trust what he can do. He won the SEC championship last year, of course, against Georgia. And then also Texas, I'm going to say that's going to be their opponent, the #1 team in the country. I really trust that Quinn Ewers and Steve Sarkisian really know what to do. Really know what to do for the rest of this schedule. I don't think there's really a good match for this team in a really weak conference schedule. I think they'll meet up in Atlanta. Unfortunately, I think that Alabama will be winning that game in Atlanta instead of, Nick Saban being there, or now be Kalen DeBoer in his first year with the Crimson Tide. He'll be the one winning the SEC championship.
So you have DeBoer taking the Tide in his first season in the toughest conference in college football. It's a hot take. I like that. Well, I like the UT versus UT scenario. I do think, Ikey, you brought out a very logistical point in that I think Tennessee and UT, Texas, they have no problem running through their schedule. I like how you mentioned he's focused on the quarterback a little bit, and he's a very scary player. Joe, I do think that Kirby Smart has struggled to beat Alabama in the fourth quarter for the last 6 to 7 years. I think he finally figures it out this weekend. So with that being said, Ikey, you get the 3. Ryan, you get the 2. Joe goes with the 1. But great answers all around. It's hard to definitely see what's going to happen. In other college football news, we're now entering the bulk of conference play, meaning there will be a lot of teams who will start to either prove that they are legit or drop games to underrated opponents. There are a lot of matchups this weekend that are either evenly ranked or have potential for upsets. So with that being said, who is getting upset this weekend? Ryan, kick it off.
Man, I'm sorry, I got to do it. It's Mississippi State. No, I'm just playing. Everybody thought. No, I'm just playing. My big upset, and I would consider this quite major, is I have Illinois defeating Penn State at Penn State this weekend. 19-point underdogs, I believe, which is quite crazy considering Illinois is 4-0. Luke Altmaier for Illinois used to be at Ole Miss, transferred schools 2 years ago, 10 touchdowns to 0 interceptions on the season. Illinois has beaten ranked Kansas, that just beat Nebraska, ranked again, on the road. This is a team that has already proven against Penn State, who has quite literally played nobody and almost lost to Bowling Green at home. I'm going to take Illinois to go in, give Penn State some noise. I think they take it. Illinois over Penn State. That's my upset.
I mean, Illinois, they already have that ranked win over Kansas this season. They're on a roll right now. It's pretty cool to see in college football. Joe?
Listen, I know Auburn has gotten a lot of flack, but in Jordan Hare, after a terrible loss against Arkansas in their house, which had Peyton Thorne kind of have a few clips in the post-conference, kind of throwing his player under the bus, which actually turned out being that he was just trying to warn his teammate not to look at criticism online. I think he can bounce back against the Oklahoma Sooners. I'm sorry, OU fans, if you're watching somehow. But, I think they're going to lose this game with Jackson Arnold finally taking a seat. Michael Hawkins, the Frisco Emerson player who is now a freshman. Who would have thought that this guy would have gotten playing time after a 5-star recruit got benched immediately in the first 3 games? I think they'll lose in Jordan Hare. Auburn crowd will be rowdy. I think they can lose, even though they're a 2.5-point favorite.
Both these teams are kind of struggling with quarterbacks right now. I know Auburn's kind of they're used to it. They played a week already with the new quarterback. But Jackson Arnold got benched. I mean, this could be a completely new week for them. It's a great take right there. Ikey?
Yeah, so the Washington State Cougars, they're traveling to Boise to take on Boise State. And Boise State, after Ashton Jeanty, he's a Heisman contender now, but Boise State's ranked number 25, and they're favorite over Washington State. But, Boise State, A, they haven't played anybody, and B, they really haven't played any big-time games in recent memory. So, yeah, I'm going to take Washington State for this one.
Great group of 5. I love to hear those types of answers. Ashton Jeanty, he's a solid player. I will say, of all those upsets happening, Illinois is on a roll right now. I do think, realistically, I think with this quarterback situation, I think Oklahoma is getting upset by Auburn. Sorry to kind of bait you into that one there, Ryan.
You're all good. Just Auburn is awful.
That was a great answer.
Great answers all around, though. And then if the next one that's going to happen, I think it's going to be Illinois upsetting Penn State, potentially. So Ryan will get the 2. Ikey, Ashton Jeanty, he's just a dog. I think he might just run through all of Washington State, but we will see. Joe gets a 3, 2, 1, so on and so forth. Great answers all around. But we are just days away from officially beginning the MLB postseason. And while hitting matters, so does a good defense. With that being said, which playoff team or playoff hopeful team has the best pitching rotation, starters and bullpen combined, heading into October, and why? Joe?
Yeah, I was upset that this was the answer that Moss Man took in the Tournament of Champions. I was mad that Ryan gave him the answer to, but he actually ended up being right. I would say it would be the Atlanta Braves. They're on the outside looking in right now, half a game out of the 3rd wild card spot. But look, they're 3rd in team ERA in the MLB with the playoffs right around the corner. I do think that they'll get in. I believe they're right behind the Mets, who are in the same division as them. But look, Chris Sale, who would have expected this guy to go 18-3, 2.7 ERA? Raisel Iglesias closing it out well, 32 saves, 1.7 ERA. This team looks really good from pitching. We've grown accustomed to this team being good offensively, but pitching-wise, they're one of the best teams really in the league. Max Fried, and also, I believe I could say, what's his name? He's a guy who just came out of nowhere, bro. I can't remember his name, but they have the number 3 ERA in the league, number 3 bullpen. Ronaldo Lopez, thank you. That's his name.
White Sox legend.
18-3 record by Sale is crazy. That's like Garrett Cole numbers in 2019. Ikey?
Yeah, as far as the best staff going into the playoff and winning games, I'm going with the Detroit Tigers again. I talked about them last week. The Detroit Tigers, they're right up there behind the Braves as far as ERA goes. And look, they're pulling up this kid from the minor leagues, this 21-year-old kid named Jackson Jobe. And the kid throws 101. He's like Paul Skeens 2.0. And, the Tigers, they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. They're 13-6 in December. And, they're winning a lot of games right now, which means their pitching is pulling it off. So I think the Tigers can piece it together, especially with the new minor league addition, Jackson Jobe. And they got a Cy Young Award top candidate as their starter. So, yep.
I like the whole aspect of, you're bringing in that newcomer that for the Tigers, bringing him in right into October baseball, kind of putting him under the biggest stage. Ryan?
Yeah, the Tigers are a good answer. The Braves are a good answer. I might go with something a little different here. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Guardians. I know they've won, 92 games here, but the man, the myth, the legend, Emmanuel Clase is why I'm picking the Cleveland Guardians. The best relief pitcher, not only in baseball, on the entire planet. Himself alone can carry any bullpen. He is that good. I believe 2 runs given up in his last 36 innings pitched. Unbelievable. Along with that, solid starters that have flown under the radar. Maybe you don't even know them that well. Beebe, Lively, Tristan McKenzie, Carrasco is still there. They have a deep, deep starting crew that people don't really know about, and they have the best relief pitcher in Emmanuel Clase. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Guardians.
The good old guard dogs. I know Noah Gross loves that answer right there.
Yeah, he does.
Great answers all around. I do think the Braves have the strongest one of the 3 teams mentioned. Joe, you're going to get the 3 right there. I loved your analysis with the whole ERA and being such a team that was kind of doubted earlier this season, but they have a strong rotation heading into October. You're going to get the 2. Ikey, great analysis too. You get the 1, however. But great answers all around there. That's going to wrap up the block so far. When we get back, we got NFL coming up. So don't go anywhere. College Crossfire is going to return in just a sec. Welcome back into College Crossfire. We've got a close show right now with Joe Duffey has 7 points, Mr. Swantkowski has 6, and Ikey Kohler has 5. Great takes all around for our college football and MLB questions. Now it's time to transition. We are already over halfway through September, and once again, the NFL is not looking familiar. Justin Fields and the Pittsburgh Steelers lead the AFC North right now with a 3-0 record, while Joe Burrow and the Bengals are winless. How will this division play out, and who is going to win it? Kick it off. I believe it's you, Joe.
Yeah, start from the bottom. It's got to be the Browns, man. There's just no hope in Cleveland. I cannot believe how bad this team looks. Actually, I really can't believe it because there was nothing going on. Nick Chubb has been out. Jerome Ford is not going to fill in that gap. Then I'm going to go with Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not so sold on the Justin Fields hype train. I really think he's playing well, but that offense does not sell me at all. I don't think they're going to really pick it up offensively, even though they're good defensively. But secondly, I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I know they're 0-3. But look, they start off 0-2 the past 3 seasons, I believe. So this is not necessarily new territory for them. I do think they can pick it up eventually. I know Joe Burrow has gotten a little bit of flack for being overhyped and trying to rely too much on aura and has more nicknames than he has wins. I get it. But, of course, number one has to be the Baltimore Ravens, who sadly I don't even want to talk about it. But the Baltimore Ravens, I think that they're going to win this division really handily. I don't think it really will be close. I like Lamar Jackson, the 2-time MVP, and Derrick Henry, who's been running all over the league. So I'm going to go with that order.
There's just so much going on in that division right now. It's easy and hard to see at the same time what will happen. Ryan.
Yeah, I'll start off by eliminating 2 teams. The Browns, Joe kind of hit the nail on the head there. Their season's over. I mean, Deshaun Watson's playing awful, just awful. Nick Chubb's out. They have no hope. They might win 7 games if they're lucky. The Bengals, I actually disagree with Joe here. I think their season is also over. 0-3 in the AFC. We're not going to get anywhere. That defense looks atrocious. Joe Burrow threw three touchdowns, and they still lost to the Commanders. Not going to happen. Bengals season is sadly over. Sadly. They might win 8 games. Not going to get them in. Second place, I have the Steelers. They're always a 500 or above team. I do think they slightly fall off when they have to play some harder opponents. I have the Steelers coming in maybe around 10-7, right around there. And I have to go with Joe here as well. The Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the AFC North. Plain and simple. Derrick Henry looks juiced up. He looks great. He looks like he's had the most energy in 3 or 4 years I've seen. Lamar Jackson, best dual-threat quarterback in the league. Their defense is good enough. The Ravens will win the AFC North. And I have the Steelers finishing second. Bengals third. Browns fourth.
Great answer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start from the bottom, too. Deshaun Watson is a trash show down in Cleveland. Myles Garrett's hurt. Like they're done. Yeah, come on, crowd, let's go. Yeah, keeping it good. But, you know, as far as the rest of the division goes, I'm a little bit more high on the Steelers than y'all are. Look, they're starting off 3-0, but their defense has been impeccable. Defense has been impeccable. And that, I mean, they haven't played top-tier offenses, but – I mean, regardless of who's at quarterback for them, I think the Steelers are going to win the division. First time in a while, I'm picking the Steelers to win. I don't think the Bengals can recover from an 0-3 start, and there's just too many question marks around them. And the Ravens, it's not their year.
Great answer all around. I am a huge Justin Fields fan, and I've always supported him. I thought he was the guy in Chicago, but I don't think he's going to be the guy. He may be the guy for the Steelers. I don't think he's going to be the one taking them to the top of the division. Ryan Swank, I liked your answer the most. You had the order that I think is going to turn out, just simply because I think the Ravens, no doubt they're the best team, but I think the Bengals are a better team. However, with the way it's going right now, Steelers are 3-0 and the Bengals are 0-3. It's just, I think the Steelers are a little they have a pretty big advantage right now. Joe, I had to agree with your standings, your prediction, the second most. So therefore, Ryan, you're going to get the 3. Joe, you're going to get the 2. Ikey, you get the 1. Great answers, however. Let's get into our next question. Okay, so now sticking with the NFL, the Ravens, Niners, Rams, and Falcons are 1-2, while the Bengals and the Titans remain winless. Despite this, each of these teams still seem to be in a quarterback situation where there is some promise. Which quarterback, and this could be on any team, does not have to be any of the teams I just mentioned, but which quarterback should be the most worried about their performance so far, and why?
Yeah, I've been looking forward to talking about this one basically all day here. You mentioned some 0-3 teams. You didn't mention this one. The Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. You're paying this dude $55 million a year. I believe that's third highest in the league for him to throw 2 touchdowns and 1 pick in 3 games. Josh Allen had 4 touchdowns in 1 half. He doubled Lawrence's touchdown totals in 1 half compared to 3 games. Trevor Lawrence has weapons around him now. ETN, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, the rookie. He's got weapons around him. There's no more excuses for Trevor Lawrence to be playing this bad. They're getting killed. He looks awful. I don't know what they're going to do over there, but Trevor Lawrence has to be in question. Doug Peterson's on the hot seat. He's got to go. It's bad over there. It's bad when you're paying a quarterback $55 million to be bad.
You know, essentially on that bench, you have another NFL starter-level quarterback in Mac Jones. Not saying he did great, but he was a starter the past 2 or 3 years and a Pro Bowler. Not saying he's a phenomenal quarterback, but he's on the bench. Is there going to be much of a difference if you swap him out? Like,
I don't really think so. Trevor Lawrence ain't playing good. Plain and simple.
So the thing about Trevor Lawrence is if he spins out of the Jaguars, you know, they cut him, whatever, he's going to be able to find another team. Someone's going to pick him up. But Bryce Young for the Carolina Panthers, I mean, he's only won like 3 games and something like 19 starts. And look, this is a situation he got put in, a bad situation, a hard situation to win from the jump. And now he's got a first-year head coach who benched him essentially after 1 or 2 weeks. And, I mean, Sam Darnold got lucky with the Vikings, how his situation played out and how he's playing very well right now. But for Bryce Young going from a number 2 overall pick to then getting benched for Andy Dalton, I mean, it's going to be
a great game.
He had a great game. No, he had a great game. But it's going to be a very tough sell for Bryce Young to get another big-time opportunity on an NFL team. And as far as his playing future, I think he should be the most worried about out of any quarterback in the league.
Some great analysis right there. Joe, wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm a little cutthroat here. I'm going to go with the Mayo man, Will Levis of Tennessee. Listen, man, I know he's not exactly the most experienced quarterback, but he played really well towards the end of last season, especially against Miami, who he's going to play again this Monday. But look, 0-3 is inexcusable, and this defense has not been as bad as some may think. I don't think they've been horrible, not necessarily great, but look at who they played this year. The Bears, they should have won that game. They were winning by, I believe, 14. And if you say that he had no role in that, I don't know what you're seeing. This guy literally has had Calvin Ridley, who had 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, DeAndre Hopkins, who seemingly can't even get a target for some reason. I don't know why. It's really frustrating for my fantasy team. But look, Will Levis really, he looks lost out there. I'm not sure what's going on. Mason Rudolph, he might have to replace him soon because it's not looking good right now for the 0-3 Titans.
I think the 3 of y'all just gave the top 3 best potential answers. Y'all have made this question extremely, extremely hard for me. This could have gone either way. But I will say, with that being said, it takes me a second here. But with that being said, I feel like it's not a good look when everyone says your team, you're not the issue, it's your coaching staff or it's your franchise, and then you get benched, and then you put your backup in who's old, and he does a great job. I think that says a lot. Ikey, you're going to get the 3 on this one. And then the next one right there, you know, I think the Jaguars are Trevor Lawrence is struggling a little bit right now. I think Levis, he's also struggling. And like you said, he does look lost out there, but so far this season there's been 1 or 2 plays where the game is flipped if he doesn't make those mistakes. Clean up those mistakes, limit them, and the games could have different outcomes. Ikey, you'll get the 3, Ryan, the 2, Joe, the 1. Super, super great answers. That was hard to choose between them all. But that'll lead us to the final question of the block. If you include the preseason, the NFL has gone on for over a month now. The new kickoff rule was established to incentivize safety and even more returns instead of touchbacks. What are your initial reactions to this rule being used so far, and has it worked? Or even more, should the NFL choose to keep it? It's the new kickoff rule. Ikey?
Yeah, the new kickoff rule. I just think it's kind of odd turning on a football game and seeing the new configuration right now. But, I mean, as far as what the NFL considers a success, okay, they wanted more returners to take it out of the end zone, and they wanted injuries. Sure, that's happened, okay? By that, it's a success. But when you come to the playoff time, kickers aren't going to take a chance kicking it to a returner who could potentially take it back. You think they're going to kick it to, say, Xavier Worthy, see if he can take it back to the house in the playoffs? No, they're going to take the extra 5 yards. It's going to go out to the 30. And so as far as, like, a net gain, I think it's neutral. I mean, it's not like more people are tuning in to the NFL game, say, oh, new kickoff rule, they may return it all the way back. I mean, that it doesn't really affect a fan's whether or not they're going to watch the NFL. I mean, the constant advertising will affect it more than the kickoff rule. So it's been a success so far, but come playoff time, it won't matter. Teams are just going to be taking touchback after touchback.
It's interesting to put into perspective come playoff time. It is. Joe?
You know, I know a lot of people get on me for how I go after the hip drop and how I care about that stuff, but this is so silly, man. Seeing the kicker just standing there all by his lonesome to start a game, it just looks ridiculous. And if you watch, like, from a Sunday ticket perspective, I mean, these kickoffs are not even going close to the house. I know, like, you saw the Cardinals VO right there of them going all the way to the house against Buffalo. But, look, I mean, most of these kickoffs are just going right inside the 25 and 30 if they are returned. If you have a guy like Brendan Aubrey, I mean, it's going to be a touchback most of the time still. So it doesn't seem like it's mostly, like, a difference that much. But I think it's a little silly. What I suggest is that they can go back to what they did last year with the guys not moving until the ball is touched and just let the returners have a forced guardian cap. That's what I think they should do right there, especially because, I mean, these guys are not going to get returns that many times, but if they do, let them wear the guardian cap, which has decreased concussions by 50%. Why not? Make it mandatory.
It's an interesting take right there, you know, like let's include returners, but let's also make sure that they don't get hurt. I like that. Ryan?
Joe had to work his Cowboys in there somehow. I knew it had to be coming. I'm going to disagree with both of them. I actually like this rule a lot. I know they wanted more returns. We're not necessarily getting that, but in terms of safety, it's fantastic. We don't need players running 40 yards down the field straight at each other, full speed ahead. That doesn't need to happen. I like this rule a lot from safety. And again, now that if it's a touchback, it's 30 yards instead of 25. 5 yards may not seem like a lot, but I can tell you that is a lot when it comes down to it, especially in playoff time. It makes the strategic moves around kicking actually matter. It's like when they move back the extra point. It actually makes it significant. So we may not be getting as many returns, but it is safer, and the kicker now actually has a strategy to how he wants to kick. Can he squib it? Can he drop it within the 5 to 10? Make him return it. There's more points to it rather than just kicking a ball and seeing what happens. So I'm actually a very big fan of the rule.
So, you know, I like the standpoint you brought up from a very strategic rule. You know, why not take the 30 yards? It's 30 yards is a whole lot for an offense, you know. Yeah. Some offenses who decide to return it can't even get past the 15-yard line in college football games. I know this is NFL, but I'm just putting into perspective how much 30 yards is. I will say, though, as much as I want there to be safety, I'm an old school guy. I got to go with Joe's answer on this. Let's do the regular kickoffs. Come on, like where's the energy when you're kicking off and Guns N' Roses is blaring through the stadium?
That could still be playing.
It decreased literally last year, and they're still not satisfied. I don't understand.
I'll get the 3. I do like your strategic standpoint. You'll get the 2. Ikey will go with the 1. But that's a great block. It is still a very close game we have going so far, but none of this matters because we still have rapid fire coming up. So it's about to get really messy in here. I avoided my original saying, but don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. It's gonna get hot. We'll be back in just a second. That just got on the recording. You do realize that. Welcome back to the College Crossfire. We have a tight one right now with, let's go over the scores. Joe, I'll start from top to bottom in terms of scores. Ryan Swantkowski with 15, Joe Duffey with 13, and Ikey Kohler with 11. But it's still anyone's game, and the title for tonight is up for grabs. As we begin our third and final round, rapid fire. Double the points, double the pressure. It's time to turn up the heat. Let's get right into our first question. Tomorrow night, the Athletics will play their final MLB game in the city of Oakland, a place they have called home since 1968. Next season, they'll be playing in Las Vegas. While many fans are bittersweet about this move, the franchise simply hasn't pulled together the seasonal funds they need to operate in Oakland. Whether it would be taking a lap around the entire stadium, stealing seats as a souvenir, which, yes, has been done, or simply just sitting in your seat for all 9 innings, if you were a fan and had the privilege of attending this final game, how would you savor the moment? How would you make this the most memorable MLB game ever?
I'd go classic streaker. I'm taking my shirt off. Hey, I might even take my pants off and run just in my underwear. I just might run off and just, what are they going to do? Kick me out of the Oakland Coliseum that has no more games? What are they going to do? I'm going to go there. Was that a handshake? Is I missing?
No, he's asking.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to go there.
See that.
Hey, man. I think maybe some people do. Who knows? Who knows? They'll cut away from the TV anyways, but it's for the thrill of the moment. I got to go with being a streaker in the Oakland Coliseum. Nobody's going to kick me out, right? I might get a little bit of a jail thing, but I'll get bailed out.
Going out with a bang, huh?
Yeah, going out with a bang.
Literally.
That ballpark's been there since, 68?
68.
Imagine the Rangers ballpark was moving and it was your last game. Would you go streak at the Rangers ballpark? Get thrown out in the second inning? I'm sitting here trying to imagine if I'm from Oakland and I've been a lifetime fan of the Oakland A's and I'm mad that they're moving to, I don't know, Las Vegas is where they're moving.
It's a sentimental time.
It's a sentimental time. I'm just going to sit there on, behind home plate, get some good, famous Oakland concession stand food, and I'm going to root for the Oakland A's. I'm going to root for the Oakland A's for the last time. And then I'll go on the field and steal some dirt afterwards, maybe take it back, put it in my garage or something. But something like that's worth remembering. If you get down to the second inning, that's not a fan experience. Come on now. Yeah. Come on now.
All right, I'm going with the classic, the 9-9-9. I'm going to do the 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, 9 innings challenge. That's the only way you got to go out at a baseball game, especially in that stadium. Imagine going back, telling all your friends, I did the 9-9-9 challenge. If you don't know what that is, it's 9 hot dogs and 9 beers, 9 innings total. I believe it's almost impossible. It's possible. That's what I would do. I would try to attempt it. Go down in history.
It's for most people, what I've heard when they've tried that before at a game, it's not hard because of how much food and drink you're consuming, but it's hard to keep up with the pace of the game, especially with how fast baseball is right now. You have to order 4 hot dogs and 4 beers in advance just to stay. And the price.
Yeah, you're paying $150.
So you better hope it's a $1 dog night if you go.
Yeah, gotta go dog night.
All right. Second question of rapid fire. Tigers, Wildcats, and this weekend, Bulldogs. Some of the most common nicknames you will hear in college sports. Georgia's great at football, Butler's good at basketball, and Mississippi State is great at baseball, all Bulldogs. So with that being said, who owns the nickname Bulldogs in collegiate athletics? It does not have to be one of the 3 schools I've mentioned. And also, if y'all go with these same, y'all can definitely go with the same answer. But so if that happens, I'll score based off of reasoning.
Yeah, so as far as college athletics as a whole, and Georgia football is a much bigger brand than Mississippi State baseball and the whatever other school was mentioned. Georgia Bulldogs, I'd say, owns college athletics. There's one, Bevo owns the Georgia Bulldog because of the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, but Georgia, their dominance has been unprecedented in the 2000s. That wasn't really a thing before Georgia. They took over. Anyway, Georgia Bulldogs is the best Bulldogs. They've won more than any other Bulldogs of the other sports. So, yeah.
I'm going with my Big East boys up there in Butler. I mean, every time you watch Butler play basketball, they're either like extremely bad and you're like kind of laughable, or they're competing at a high level and you're like, hey, this is a great game. And they're always in the Big East, they're playing late, and it's just, you always turn them on and you're like, you know what? I just want to put some money on Butler. And even not, I just want to see Butler do something awesome. Always like that kind of underdog team you're rooting for. That's why I love Butler. I've been a Butler, not a fan, but I've been rooting for Butler.
If I'm filling out my March Madness bracket, I don't care if they're a 12 or 13 seed. If Butler's there, I'm taking that.
Butler's some dogs, literally.
Literally.
You had college basketball, but I'm going to go to Spokane, Washington. It's the Gonzaga Bulldogs. You talk about a team that can win? Oh, come on. Mark Few, he's a future Hall of Famer. But guess what? He's won like 20-something conference titles. They are Pac-12 bound. Of course, you know, the Pac-12 looked like it's about to die. But look, they've won literally in that conference for like longer than all of us have lived. I mean, before we were born, they were winning against, you know, St. Mary's and stuff, and who else? San Francisco, the alma mater of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They have won more conference titles than these teams that they have listed. I think that because they're, you know, with the money that they have and the resources they have, that they still find a way to recruit and play at a national level, they own the Bulldogs nickname.
It's definitely a very hard one. That's why some of the most common. That's why some of the most common nicknames in sports belong to some of the best teams. But in the past 2 days, both the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions released their threads to make for an upcoming elite Monday Night Football matchup in about, 5 days? If you had to pick the best era of NFL uniforms or single out on any specific team in which threads they wore, which team is the coolest uniform combo from either its past or present? You can think of any era, or you can pick, you know, this year, this team wore this. This is the best.
I think the Houston Oilers, man, those jerseys just beautiful. Back when they used to have the pom-poms and, you know, Bud coaching for them. I mean, that jersey is iconic, and you see the Titans wear them every now and then. But, you know, ever since they moved, you just don't see it as often. And it sucks because the city of Houston really cherished them. But, you know, the fans just really stopped coming to the game after they got a little bit, you know, rough, and they played in such an historic stadium in the Astrodome. I really like those jerseys, and also because of Earl Campbell, who is one of my sports idols. He's the reason I am a Longhorn fan. Why? Because my dad was a Longhorn fan because of him and how he played and inspired my family. He's from East Texas, and my whole family's from East Texas, so we take a lot of pride in Earl Campbell, and just seeing how he wore that jersey and the pride he put in that jersey was just awesome. I just love the Oilers jerseys back in the 70s and 80s.
So it's definitely a great color scheme they have there.
I got two answers here, really. I love the Kelly Greens that the Eagles brought back. Those are iconic. Those are awesome. Also love the Buccaneers creamsicle jerseys. Those are fantastic as well. Crowd, give me a little shout out there. But I will say this. I miss the Reebok jerseys, and maybe call me a boomer. I got one right behind me, but Reebok, especially for everybody in this crowd and myself speaking, we have some core NFL football memories from our teams wearing those Reebok jerseys behind us. And maybe they weren't, you know, as cool, as many colors, whatnot, but man, the NFL back then, that was some hard-hitting football, some great memories, especially with my Reebok Andre Johnson right behind me, wearing that jersey and watching my team. So I miss Reebok, but those are my two, you know, great uniform combos nowadays.
That's like when I first started watching football, like 2009 era.
Yeah, even earlier, 2006. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if y'all have seen the New York Giants 100-year jersey celebration right now, but I mean the fact that they have been in the same place for like that amount of time, maybe not the same place, but their legacy has carried on for that amount of time. It's a pretty good combination, and 100-year anniversary, that's pretty special. So I'm going to go with the Giants. They're whipping it out this year, so maybe it'll help them win some games.
All right. I'll wrap things up. And for the first time in my memory, we have a tie. Which means we're going to extra rapid fire. Between Ryan Swantkowski and Joseph Duffey.
Oh, come on, man. Of course. Of course.
What's the backup question?
Ready for it?
Should we wait for this backup question? Not quite. Not quite, but that is a good one you have there. So, standing ovation for Ikey. Good job, Ikey. Good job. Good job. All right. All right. So, for our tiebreaker question, we're students at the University of Texas. We've played in the Southwestern Conference. We've played in the Big 12. And now we play in the SEC. I know we've won different national championships, but when was Texas football at its, what era or years was Texas football at its peak?
You can go first. I know what you're going to say.
I mean, it's got to be, you can say the 70s, but I'm going to go with the 2000s. And that team was just a perennial title contender pretty much every single year. You go against USC, of course, winning that 2006 Rose Bowl. A USC team that hadn't lost in, I believe, 2 years. Had Reggie Bush, who got robbed of his Heisman, eventually got it back, but it should have been Vince Young's Heisman anyway. But that team right there from around the late 90s all the way to about 2010 when Colt McCoy unfortunately got hurt prematurely, and he could argue they could have possibly won the championship with him. That era of Texas teams was just special all the way from that whole decade. So I think that was the best era and the peak of Texas football.
There was a lot of eras mentioned there by Joe. I think I heard 4 answers in that one answer. That's okay though. 05, 06 is probably the obvious answer there, but we're gonna go a little different. I'm gonna go 09, 10. Colt McCoy, Jackson Shipley, all the legends. That's at least what we all think about because yes, we were very, very good in 05, 06. We won the national championship. We beat USC. All valid points. Very, very true. But nowadays with this group in front of me, we all know Texas football was at its peak during our lifetime that we could remember. Colt McCoy and the Texas Longhorns. Texas wins that game if Colt McCoy does not get hurt, and it was electrifying to watch them play. Not only that season, but a few seasons, all the seasons with Colt McCoy, the Shipleys, all those good guys. So I'm going to go with that era.
I'll make this so hard to decide, but
Yeah, one more question. We're going another overtime.
double overtime. No. But I will say, makes it super hard, and the eras are so close to each other. I almost kind of combine them in one era. But, Joe, you had the national championship in yours. I got to give this one to you tonight, man. Bang. Ryan, there's some great answers all around. I'm so happy that this one went down to the wire because this could have been either way. I almost wish I picked a different question. But
I agree.
But do we have time for FaceTime?
Yes.
Take it away, Joe.
Glad to be back. I'm glad to have some FaceTime here. Hi, Mom. How's it going? Hope you're watching. Hi, Dad. Glad to be back on Crossfire. Glad to be here with the new host. Also, Robert Gonsalves did an excellent job tonight. An awesome crowd, too, who pulled up. So thanks to Tyler Moss and everybody involved for the opportunity.
It was great to see y'all and Ikey, the three of y'all all together, go at it and provide some great answers. It gets me fired up about all the football and the baseball that we have coming up this weekend in the next couple of weeks. But special thanks to you, Ryan, last year, giving me this opportunity and coming back on. Joe, you've done such a great job with Press Box. Ikey, killing it on the football coverage. We saw you down in Michigan. Great work. But that's going to wrap things up here at TSTV tonight. Thank you to everyone who makes this show possible, from the contestants to the in-studio personnel and all the people in master control, especially our executive producer, Tyler Moss. And to you, the audience, remember to tune into our other shows, Want to Know on Friday and College Press Box on Monday. That wraps it up for here tonight. I'm your host, Robert Gonsalves. It's been fun. Have a good night.